So we have drastically different opinions about Upwork for beginners. You know, you told me this a couple of minutes ago that you actually think it's a great place for a lot of people to get started freelancing. And I was shocked because for me, I'm really convinced that it's a terrible place for beginners. Maybe it used to be a good place for beginners, but I believe right now it really is terrible. So my question for you is, why do you believe Upwork is a good place for beginners? And then we're going to debate that.
All right, let's do that.
Let's do that.
So the reason I think it's a good place for some beginners is that it's a really easy place to get started emotionally speaking. So it's not the best place to have huge success, to make huge amount of money. It's not even a place where it's easy to get jobs, even if you're willing to do it for almost nothing. But emotionally speaking, someone who doesn't have a degree, someone who's getting into web development or copywriting or any other freelancing skill and don't have a degree, want to make money out of his skill, Upwork seemed to me to be a great place to get started practicing these skills, focusing on the craft more than the skill of getting clients. Because other methods that freelancers can rely on to get more clients, to get actual clients that are willing to pay more money, are skills that need to be learned.
Right.
So as a beginner, when you don't even feel comfortable with the skill you're trying to make money out of,
right. For example, if you're a web developer and you're not still comfortable with your web development skills,
it can be a great first step.
Because it doesn't force you to have to also have to learn the business side of freelancing, and you can just focus on your web development. Or I can see that.
All the things you have to learn to get into this business can be a burden for someone who is not willing to put the work to start working every day, at least 6, 7, 8 hours on that, and really like dedicating his life for a while to this can be a lot to learn at one time. So imagine you don't know how to code any website, you don't know how to code websites, you don't know anything about business, you don't know how to find clients outside of Upwork, and even on Upwork you're not really sure about like how you
don't know everything. It's
a lot of work, it's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to learn. So for someone who's willing to do it, who's like all in, burn the ships, I'm doing this, I'm like launching my career and having huge success, then probably not. But for someone who just want to start somewhere slowly.
Here's what I'm not really sure we agree on is that you seem to paint a picture of someone who decides to both learn, for example, web development and start getting jobs at the same time. I agree that in such a case, you would have to learn a lot of things at the same time. But I don't believe for most freelancers, your decision is going to be to get jobs while you're still early in your learning of your career skills. I don't think most, for example, freelance designers or developers are going to start finding Upwork jobs while they're still not, they still haven't, for example, finished their courses on Udemy on programming, or haven't finished their training. I think for most people starting out, you start out after having finished a sufficient amount of training, where you already you don't know everything, for example, about code, or you don't know everything about design, but I think typically most people, they're at a point when they feel ready to freelance where they know most of it, right? So they don't really have to learn or spend maybe, as you said, like every day working and really hard for like weeks. I don't think that's the situation for these people. I think at this point, you can just work a few hours a week, maybe a reasonable work week, maybe 40 hours, something like that. I think the things that you'd have to learn either on Upwork or using other methods of finding freelance, the things that you have to learn to find jobs, I don't think they're that long and hard to learn to the point that you really have to work every day for weeks.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I'm just wondering, do you think that, because I agree with you. Like, I think that people who start thinking about getting clients, about even getting on Upwork and try to find jobs, will be the kind of people who already most of the time have got through a couple of Udemy courses and are pretty good at what they do.
Right. Or decent.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I think they're decent in the eyes of the clients, but they're not decent in their eyes because they struggle with lack of self-confidence.
Yeah.
Or they struggle with imposter syndrome because they've been told all their lives that if you don't have a degree, you're no one.
So exactly
and
my
so
point.
They believe they're bad, but they're better than they think.
Yeah. That it was exactly what I was about to ask you. Do you think that they feel that way? And the answer is clearly, yeah, exactly. People don't feel like they are good enough. People aren't that confident, thus will spend a tremendous amount of time being extremely perfectionist about their work,
right,
as they work for clients, and will spend probably too much time trying to improve their freelance skill while not necessarily wanting to work more on trying to learn sales, trying to learn marketing, trying to learn these strategies that allow you to get more clients, like like cold calling. Or
I'm not sure how much people will focus too much on their career skills. I think for most people, the problem is going to be that they struggle to find jobs, or they get frustrated because they don't make a lot of money, and so it's going to push them to start learning these career skills. I can tell you from experience that when I started freelancing, I didn't believe I was very good.
Yeah,
I had huge imposter syndrome. I started getting my first jobs, and I thought I was really bad. I thought I was fucking up. But the pages I made that I thought were bad, or that I thought were not good enough, that I spent way too many hours doing, just like you said, my clients told me what I was doing was really good. And over time, being told that I'm good over and over and over, that really made me realize that I'm not as bad as I thought. Right. So this imposter syndrome is absolutely real. And I will tell you that for me, I probably spent too long learning web development. I think I'm seeing a lot of people, for example, on our YouTube comments online, that they spend months learning web development or whatever skills, way more months than they should, because of that imposter syndrome. And what I can tell you is that for the fact that they spend too many hours learning development skills, I did experience this because of, again, imposter syndrome. I would spend hours and hours on Udemy outside of my contracts in my free time, just learning more about the skills that I felt I was not good enough at to be able to accomplish my first jobs. I think that a lot of it was not necessary. I feel though that if you're genuinely getting work and working with people that are honest, right? Not people that are trying to push you to deliver more and more results, people that respect you. I feel like if you're doing good enough work, they're going to tell you, right? And I feel like your self-confidence is going to go up over time. Your imposter syndrome is going to decrease over time. I feel like you're not going to be the guy who spends a lot of hours going on Udemy or YouTube learning more because you feel like you're not good enough. I think this is going to end very soon. I think that you're not going to be in a situation where you're going to be working like a madman for months. It's probably going to last maybe maximum 3 weeks. In my experience, like maybe 2 weeks after I started, I already felt comfortable in my position as a freelancer.
I don't know. I just feel like for a beginner, it's still good. Not a great place, but still a good place to get started, as you can only focus on the very basic side of the business.
I feel like I can see some methods like cold call being overwhelming for someone starting out.
Definitely.
I can see that. I can see a lot of other freelancing methods being overwhelming. I believe that starting out, one of the advantages of Upwork is that it's very intuitive, because I think it's the method of finding jobs that's the most similar to finding normal jobs by sending your resume, and just, Upwork feels very much like finding normal jobs in your local area. You just approach businesses who look like they're looking for people, and they see your profile, which is kind of like a resume. It's pretty much the same purpose as a resume, in fact.
It's kind of like the mix between finding a regular job with a resume and buying and selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace.
Right. It's sort of a weird halfway point between the two. I like that comparison. So I can see why for some people it can be an interesting first step. The problem I have with it is that if that was the only factor, because it is simple to use. It doesn't take a lot of emotional stress on your body, on your mind, to get started using a method, or just to think about learning a method like that. It's not stressful to imagine yourself using it. The problem is that you're probably going to be very disappointed about the results.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not stressful if you don't expect to make much money.
Right.
If you rely on that, like at the slightest level, it's extremely stressful, because it's extremely hard to make a good living on Upwork.
Right.